Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's a chess show on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Starr, and we have today distinguished guest Professor Ken Regan. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Yes, thank you very much for having me on again.
Excellent, and of course, we are all watching now this tournament with all this great chess stars, a champion final league. And so far, the strongest players proved that they are the strongest. Especially who is very impressive is, of course, Carlsen. Of course, Caruana. Although it's not the strongest format for Caruana, arguably for Carlsen could be said exactly the same thing. Although Carlsen is he's done so much in all formats, so it's very difficult to say that this format is not really his format. But I think everything is his format. Caruana, of course, keep excelling in classical chess format, but he improved tremendously in rapid and blitz departments. And what's your impression about this, Ken?
Well, actually, what I was most interested in following was whether your words would hold true of Hikaru Nakamura. Nakamura dug about as deep a hole as one can imagine in the round robin section. Okay, he was, second from last and needed Carlsen to defeat Alireza Firouzja while he himself beat the lowest rated player to have any chance. And Firouzja actually beat Carlsen in their first of their two-game match, but Carlsen won on demand and then won the tiebreaker, and that sent Nakamura into the elimination to the survival round. And this was done on a very interesting system that is said, most notably associated with the NBA playoffs, where the 6 teams in each conference make the playoffs, and then there are 2 more spots that go to teams 7, 8, 9, 10 in this manner. 7 plays 8, and the winner automatically qualifies. 9 plays 10, the loser is eliminated, but the winner of that then has to face the loser of 7 and 8, and in order to qualify. So it's actually a very fair system in terms of the ranking. Nakamura won the first round of that, but then got stopped in his tracks by Abdusattorov. And so it was Abdusattorov, not Nakamura, who joined the perennials Carlsen, Caruana, and Wesley So in the Final Four. And Abdusattorov continues to impress because yesterday he beat Wesley So coming back after losing the first game, and Magnus Carlsen did the same. He came back after losing, the other way. He won the first game against Caruana. Then Fabi won 2. Then Carlsen tied that up, and Carlsen won the Armageddon. So anyways.
Wait a sec. Didn't Caruana lead after 3 games 2-1?
Right. He won. That's right. Carlsen won the first game coming back.
Caruana second and third.
And then Caruana won the second and third, but it was a 4-game set.
That's right. And then Armageddon also.
And then Armageddon, yes.
Yeah.
Whereas Abdusattorov won the first set in regulation, but now there's a second set. And if those go the other way, then there will be a tiebreak. Mm-hmm. And these sets are being played sequentially. So it's just Abdusattorov and Wesley So on the stage right now, and their moves are happening while we are talking.
Excellent. Yeah.
So
okay.
What
is the most interesting games that you would like to show us?
Well, let's see. There have been game where let's show the game where Carlsen came back. Even though losing his queen, at least let me go and find.
Oh yeah, that was really something else.
Yeah. So let's see. That the first game against Caruana? It was indeed. So Caruana really could very easily have won this entire tournament. So let's see this. It's a matchup of heavyweights. So I will share my screen, Okay, share screen and share. Let's see. entire screen. Here we go. Okay, I may get some confidential stuff. I have other things happening, but, and by the way, there's other news in the chess world too from yesterday, which we can talk about. Okay, so let's see that now.
Okay, got it.
So there we are. Magnus Carlsen, Fabiano, first game of their 4-game semifinal set in the Champions Chess Tour. Okay, and we don't play Berlin. We allow Spanish torture. Actually, maybe this choice should be regarded as being enterprising. But the other is, there's been a lot of development in these lines where black plays bishop c5. It used to be thought that this allowed white too much of an impetus in the center with a move like d4. But black can stand pat. I mean, this is there's no impediment to the freedom of black's pieces at the moment. It's not like a Philidor where black's bishop would be on e7. So, so we just play chess. And this again is this part of the purpose of h6 is so that black can play rook e8 and bolster the firm point on e5 without having to fear white playing knight g5 and homing in on the weak f7 square. It also prevents a pin on bishop g5. The h-pawn moves, again, are also being played more often in a number of openings, and white returns the favor by preventing black, this is maybe more important, from pinning on g4 and putting a lot of pressure on the d4 square. Okay, so there's the rook e8 by black. And now rook b8, a very steady move. I'm sure I'd have to look 4 or 5 moves ahead to see exactly what it does. If white had played a4, then the rook on a8 would have been hanging, in the sense that after white would capture on b5, black had not captured back. But white played a3, so maybe not the same immediate need for the rook b8 move, but what it is doing, it is supporting black's plans on the queen side. So black has decided to advance on the queen side. This is something that white could have stopped by playing a4, but now black plays a4 himself, so not intending to break with b4, which is another natural plan in the position. Let's see, is b4, well, b4 doesn't work here. Let's see exactly, it's maybe instructive. Save engine on the wall, tell me what the floor is with b4. Actually, white just sits. This is really interesting. White just sits. It was originally playing rook b1, rook c1, and maybe black is making himself weaker by opening lines, though I don't know. Okay, well, it's maybe above my pay grade, as I'm only an IM. Anyway, a4 is a natural move. I would worry about b5 being a little hard to defend, because even if you get in c6, white can cut it off with d5. But okay, there we go. Defend b5. Black doesn't defend b5. The white piece on b5 is going to hang for the moment. Let's see exactly what is the reply to bishop takes b5 here. There we go. Knight takes d4, and we're going to get your bishop on b5 and enjoy a nice diagonals. Okay, so tactics are being used to. I thought black might take on d4 first and then uncork that move, but it's good right away. Okay, so white puts more pressure on b5. Black, now it's the same thing. If white takes on b5, then take, and black's bishop on b6 is free to take on d4 and uncover an attack on white's queen. And we get a liquidation that would leave white with a probably weaker a-pawn than white wants. So white just plays here, and same stasis. Now black is, this is literally angling for position. So c6, okay, black has firmed up the pawn structure. The engine says dead equal, but white says game on with attacking black's position. And now let's see exactly why black cannot try to so what does happen if black captures on e5? What does white have up his sleeve? Oh, bishop, white takes this knight and then recaptures on e5, and that wrecks black's position. Okay, that's very clear. This qualifies as white has strongholds in the center and black's pawns are wrecked. So whereas white was in fact only threatening black's knight now, and so black plays here. Now it says white captures on g6. Now it's not the same bad level of badness as before, because black is not necessarily going to concede white a strong knight on e5. Black has a counterattack against white's bishop on e3, and that bishop really can't move away. So now rook f8, mistake according to the computer. I would have whipped off this bishop right away. The computer wants black to play and then immediately challenge white's knight. Nothing wrong with that either. One important thing is white can't play f4 because this bishop on e3 is hanging. So yes, it's white's bishop on e3 is not going to run anywhere. So d2 is not really a place to run it, and white has to defend e5 somehow. Okay, so so that would have been better than the rook f8 move. It's not clear what the rook f8 is attacking. Maybe black has dreams of a rook sacrifice on f3. Okay, so white leapt in and take the pawn and instead show me what you got. And what he did, instead of rook takes f3, Caruana captured on h3 with the bishop. Actually, rook takes f3 is the move the computer wants to play. And then play queen h4. Well, in a slow chess game, maybe you'd be able to calculate this really well. And the point is actually that black can afford to play just very slow building moves. Okay. Yes, maybe no. We're seeing the evaluation swing back and forth. Requires not just calculation, but feel of the position. Maybe game 15 plus 3-second increment rapid is not the way to do that. So black captures on h3 instead, and this is sacrificing a piece instead of it's not sacrificing anything. Okay, so it's just a matter of whose position has been compromised more, and the answer actually, black has some troubles. So the weakness on c6 is now a factor. White has this gorgeous knight on d6 that threatens, if white ever undermines c6 and gets in queen to d5 check, that's going to be really tough for black. So black has calculated this out, maybe. Is able to counterattack, and white captures the wrong piece. So the right piece was to capture here, and then just take pawns and enjoy black's weak light squares. So, well, you know, in the heat of battle, maybe it's hard to evaluate this kind of thing. At any rate, white took the material, and this also, I must say, looks good for white. The position is stabilized. White has a strong center and a very strong knight, but black is able to go to work on the knight. And I guess, you know, again, if you're playing blitz, wow, queen takes c6, it's like a kill. So why isn't it a kill? Well, white played it. The bishop takes d6. And apparently black is just able to staunch this position. So now, mind you, it seems incredible, but black is actually going to get a winning position out of this. Nevertheless, it's hard for white to defend h3 and defend the d pawn. Black is going to play rook d8 and queen takes d6. So white has to activate the rook in order to be able to defend the d pawn. And in fact, white decides to jettison the d pawn. Wait a second. Oh yeah, go back. Oh yeah, if rook takes rook e1, then black has apparently just enough resources to give lots of checks in this position. Something's frozen with the display on chess24. Okay, anyway, that's not how the game went. White played queen takes g2. Now black wins back the pawn. Now I'd have to say this is a little hard to judge. White has what looks like a free passed pawn, but black's king is very well shielded from checks. White is not. So if white gets too frisky, black should be able to come behind and while white is trying to control d6, d7, and the promotion square d8, black will get access to squares near white's king. So here we go. White pushes, black comes to the side, and okay, so we're just waiting and watching here. How active can whites get? What can white do to try to dislodge the blockade on d6? Players are feinting around. White puts the king or the queen side. If white could get his king to a2, for instance, then white might enjoy some better degree of protection. This is where black's pawn on a4, though, has suddenly become an important factor, limiting the safety of white's king, whereas black's king is completely safe. And now we see that since white has vacated the f file, black is able to generate certain counterplay on that part of the board. Okay, so black now decides to blockade white's d pawn. Now white's king is on the perfectly safe square, but here comes some counterplay by black. And here comes some counterplay. All right, now white's king is no longer so safe, and white has not advanced the free d pawn one bit. Okay, so now let's see. So why can't white capture on a4? What am I missing? I guess black just captures on f3, and more stuff is opened up in white's position. So white blocks that. We go back. Does black want to repeat? Actually, Caruana does not repeat, meaning black is completely happy with the position. Okay, a little bit of a feint there. Now we come back. Okay, so now this is really wild. White maybe overlooks the fact that the f pawn is hanging. Maybe white thought that that d6 would be playable, but no, it's queen b3 check and rook f1 mate. So white has to admit, oops, I blundered a pawn. Now I'm not going to criticize all the moves. This time pressure at this point. So here we go. White plays queen c6, finally trying to dislodge the pawn, but black comes in behind. And now white is actually judged to be in trouble by the engine because there's not very many convenient ways to simultaneously guard b2 and guard black's other entry squares. The a4 pawn in particular is a monster. And here it comes. Okay, so once again, we need to say, why can't white take that pawn with the queen? And I think the answer, wait a second, is what's going on here? Why can't white take that pawn with the queen? Okay, queen takes a3 check, I take back with the king. Are you really going to get a... Wait a second, this makes something's gone wrong with the engine. This makes no sense at all. Is black really winning this position? This is crazy. Wow. Okay, well, I had to copy this to an engine. I would find it very hard to judge at the board that black is winning this position with the cleared out pawns. Wow. Okay, well, all right. So anyway, probably Caruana judged that black is ahead in that position. Let's see. This is, in fact, what white played, but obviously Caruana did not judge that was winning. So black Caruana played queen e5, and the point is that white's king is just a little bit too Swiss cheesy. What is going on in this position? Okay, rook a4 needs quicker analysis than I'm giving it credit for. Okay, well, we're going to see eventually that that Carlsen loses his queen. Okay, so now we come in here. Well, that's actually not a winning move, but white is going to make a king misstep in a few moves. So d7, no, white, it's walking on a tightrope. But here is the king misstep. Okay, so white actually has to give the queen here. And it turns out to be equal because white will have two very strong pawns. Instead, white stepped into this, and this actually should have been checkmate in 13, according to Stockfish. So I think now I understand a tweet that Carlsen made. Okay, so Carlsen made a tweet that said, one of my life's ambitions has been to come back from -10, but he actually meant that come back from checkmate in 10. Okay, so Caruana, maybe this is just repeating moves. No, Caruana played rook f6 at the wrong time, seeing that he could win white's queen. But it turns out actually that if he had played rook f6 at this time, it would be checkmate in forced checkmate in 9 moves. Let's see. Yes, we are. Yes, this could be a very difficult move to find. But white cannot play king d5 because of queen takes d7, and that is in fact the only way to stop checkmate now, because the white's queen is closer. If white went back to d5, be queen e3 mate, so white gets checkmated. White loses the queen, and then it's checkmated 2 more moves. White can't defend. Okay, so there was a combination that would have been completely winning here if Caruana had found the immediate rook to f6 move, but instead Caruana played rook f6 here when it looks more effective because white's king is more in the corner. Okay, and oh wait, no, I'm sorry. This is the correct line. Yes, sorry. Black played queen a check and then played here, which was not as effective, even though you're winning white's queen. You're winning white's queen. It's very easy to see you're winning white's queen, but white is a protected pawn on the 7th rank. Queen d8. So it's in order for black to win this, you have to push those pawns, and Caruana did not, probably with just seconds playing on the increment. Now, this is your rewards analysis. The one drawing move for white is to bring the queen back here, king back there, because then it gets out of checks and probably is able to help out on the king side. Bringing the king to a4 is supporting the b pawn, but going to the wrong direction. Now black begins pushing the pawns, and black is again winning. But why did Caruana give up that pawn with check? I don't know. Okay, panic moves. g5 is apparently still winning in this position because black gets 2 pawns against white's rook, and white's king is too far away to help. So the consequential way for black to play was this. And this is just a horrible melange of pawns. White cannot defend. So anyway, Caruana gave away the pawn with check, and now white is even. Okay, but when you're even in this position, you're probably winning in practical terms. Okay, black has no perpetual check. Black is paralyzed. Still even. Not even after this move anymore. Which way should black's king have gone? It needed to go to f7. Wow, that's really subtle. So, well, what's wrong with f6, though, is the obvious problem. So let's see. So what? Well, it's blocking black from playing queen f6 check. That's the problem. So white played rook e8. Now it's over. You can't play queen f6 check. And Caruana gave up. Obviously, a one-move loss. Things like this happen. But after this, black can then give, this is going to be perpetual check because there's no place for white's king to hide. So, entertaining game. I won't say that it was, a brilliancy prize by either player, but certainly shows Carlsen's fighting spirit.
Yeah, it's exceptional, really, game because both players were playing for a win, obviously, and Caruana he lacked the exact moves required in that position to
Mhm.
Actually, that's so difficult to win against Carlsen. I've seen so many games that he would have losing position, and at the end of the time, not only he would save at least position, but he would actually go on and win. So
Mhm.
quite a few hopeless positions. It's remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and maybe we have time for one more.
Yeah, we have time for one more, and I'd actually like to go over to Sunway Sitges and show Lenier's game from yesterday.
Okay,
So
excellent.
there is one other event happening in the world that has world champion, well, it has world champion implications, championship implications. I will not
Hmm.
say uh, that it um, involves world champions yet, but the fact that Carlsen um, has decided not to play in the candidates tournament means that there are two at-large spots, and there's always one at-large spot based on rating. There
Hmm.
was some apparent ambiguity as far as what tournaments were needed to be eligible um, for qualification. In any event, um, Lenier Dominguez Perez and Wesley So and a couple of others are jockeying for position in the rating race. And Lenier Dominguez suffered a setback of sorts by being held to a draw by a person whose rating on the wall chart is almost 400 points lower than his. So he lost rating on this game. And the interest is heightened by the fact that um, that he's now paired with an Indian youth, a 14-year-old Indian boy, came from traveled to Spain from India for this tournament. He's rated 1859 on the wall chart, but I estimate his current strength about 2400, and he has already beaten or drawn an IM. No, I think he's beaten an IM and an FM in the tournament. So anyway, so this is so how to play with no fear against the super grandmaster. Take the so not take the play right to black. Now this
Hmm.
is again, these are computers. This is part of the influence of computer chess. So just for some background, if black plays e6, then the
That move
carriers attack.
reminds me Fischer random chess, like moves like Rook G1.
Well, that's true. Sometimes the rooks start on that square.
Exactly.
Right. But here's the thing. So well known. So one of the Kara's attack with G4 is considered difficult enough that it often dissuades black from playing the early E6 Sicilian lines or playing classic Scheveningen. Okay, at least when I was coming up in chess, it was an attack to be feared. So okay, black plays the Najdorf, and now G4 is just hanging. So okay, you've avoided the Kara's attack for a move. Well, white plays rook G1. We're going to push that G pawn. Okay, support that G pawn. So anyway, here we go. Now, see offhand, I would have thought that black has already equalized this position. Um, because okay, so now we're going to play H5, stop G4. Apparently, it's strong enough. I mean, as black, I would have expected to see a normal move like knight C6, but look at this. Wow, this is white. The engine already says that white is going to drive away that knight from G5. If you play H6, H4 is coming. Okay, and black is already under attack. So this might have been underestimated in the world before computers that I grew up in, but it's strong enough that black has to play H5. Um, maybe according to engines. Now that gives white a juicy square with bishop G5, but there's nothing wrong with playing H3, threatening to build up again. And now bishop E6. So this is a way in which computers have really livened up chess. We've played just 9 moves for both players, and we have a weird position. I mean, white's rook on G1 makes an especially weird impression. But we'll see if black is where black is able to castle this game. White, of course, can only legally castle queenside, and there we go. Now black is going to be able to get an attack on the queen side. Black would love to sacrifice one rook on c3 and bring the other rook over, but bringing the other rook over is going to mean jettisoning the h4 pawn. Okay, so white plays king g1. There comes the rook over. There comes the queen. These are all very normal moves in the Sicilian defense, but black can't castle, so black is going to castle by hand. Okay, if white will allow that. White, however, says, well, one defect of your g6 is you've weakened some squares along the f file, so I'm going to open the f file. Okay. All right, now white comes in, but black has a good square. Here I would say I'm actually happy with the black position. So, well, maybe not as happy. Let's see. I'm happy with the black position if I trade queens and play d5, is what the computer is saying. I would be happy in this position too, but it says white is much better. Wow, what do I know? Okay, white played knight d2. Take. Okay, yeah, it says that, well, you know, I'm not a Sicilian expert. This looks okay. I mean, except that, well, the idea of castling by hand on g7 isn't on. So, okay, well, now I'm really happy. Okay, so white is putting my bishop to the question now. Okay, so black has counter threat on d4, so taking the bishop and allowing check in d4 would not have been on. Okay, now I could say that I'm happy with black's position. I don't really see white attacking too much here. No, on the other hand, still got the problem with my king. I've got a nice file. Right? King steps aside. So this position is completely even, and in fact, right now black can liquidate down to an ending, and that's what black does. So I thought it was said that that Linear had chances in this game, but actually it seems that white has completely stodged this. And now we have just a quite drawish rook ending. And that was the result of the game in fairly short order. Okay, well, hard to win if white plays enterprising chess. And the game was abandoned as a draw. So,
very interesting.
And let's peek in on Domingos Perez's game now. Because he drew, he's down on a board. He's the top board of those with 1.5. And so let's see, here he is. Whoops. He's playing white this time. And, well, he has a slight edge according to the engine, but fairly symmetrical position. And black's pieces are not terrible. So he'll have to manufacture chances here. So Ruy Lopez, classical Ruy Lopez, except white plays the A4 anti-Marshall line. And normal chess. So, okay. Anyway, that's the so that's what's going on around the world. Okay, so
very interesting. There are so many tournaments, but thinking about this format, what you mentioned, that it could affect the candidate tournament. I remember when there was a system and there were 2 and later on 3 interzonal tournaments, and for example, if it was 3, so 2 top players from each tournament would qualify for the candidates, plus the loser of the World Championship match and one who would be second in the previous candidate cycle. And that system, in my opinion, is quite superior to all other systems, because basically you're taking the top, let's see, say 36 players, if you're talking about 12 players in each interzonal. 36 is a pretty good representation. You can select them by rating or by any other means. And you, because they're played almost simultaneously, you are taking the best 6 candidates being played at the same time, at the same tournaments, almost, because in this situation, sometimes they're spread over several months period of time, and the form of players fluctuates. You cannot keep the same form for several months.
Right. That is true.
Let's see. So this is not really representative, in my opinion, of the fair system. Maybe it's convenient, but you see, the way I understand this, interzonal tournaments were cancelled because of the, first of all, Ilumzhinov system was the world champion, so the interzonal tournaments became redundant. Perhaps it was they were trying to cut on expenses to organize 3 interzonal tournaments.
That's part of it. Yeah, it's less marquee, whereas one thing, the invitational tournaments have been organized into a circuit that has better sponsorship and more prize money, and I think that's why. Of course, they're more elite in some senses, but they have some level of democracy in enabling young players, in particular, to come into it. I don't know. I have to do more of a study. It is true that the interzonals had a zonal system for qualifying for them, so you sometimes didn't get the best players. But
that's true. So starting from interzonals, I think you have the real top players at that time competing. But how to select these 36 players? In my opinion, the simplest thing would be by rating. Of course, classical chess, based on, say, 3 months prior to beginning of the interzonals and so on. But again, you can then say that some players probably would get some extra tournaments organized for them specifically, so they would improve their rating and so on. So it's not clear-cut situation even in that respect. But still, they were very exciting. I remember some of them. If you remember the Leningrad tournament, it was interzonal, where Korchnoi, Karpov were playing, Larsen, Tao. I don't know, just sound of those names makes it probably one of the top tournaments ever. And it was indeed very interesting tournament. And then it was another one in Brazil, in Petropolis, I believe.
Yes, that was a weird tournament. Yeah.
Those were the times. I think those names at that time, they were like almost like a pantheon of the gods. And today we have so many strong players, but their names are not nearly sound as tremendous.
Well, one thing that was interesting to me was, Robert Byrne was a known quantity to me, and he, perhaps because he didn't play as often, he wasn't as conscious in my mind as a star of U.S. chess as, for instance, Walter Brown. But he qualified from an interzonal to the candidates matches. He played some really strong chess in the late 1970s after I faced him in the U.S. Championship.
Yeah.
And he was over 40 at the time too. So that was very notable. On the other hand, I had to measure intrinsic rating. These were years when the top rating in the world was 2695.
Yes.
So today's top players, rated 100 points higher than Robert Byrne at the time. It may just be that we have a lot more of really strong players.
Yeah. Today competition in chess is incredible. It's never been equal before to what it is now. Anyway, it makes it so interesting. So many strong tournaments.
European Rapid and then the World Rapid and Blitz to cap off the year.
Yeah. So we are in the whole middle of that. And I would like to thank you so much for today's
Thank you. Yeah.
And let's look at the next week's program, even more interesting games and
Yeah.
more interesting results. Okay?
Yeah.
Have
Okay.
a great week and see you next week, same place, same time.
Okay. Yeah.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.